Okay, so we're going to be on page 4, and we're going to take a look at multiplying or some distribution problems. Now, this is stuff you guys have seen before. You did distribution in Algebra 1, but we are going to just do a refresher here together over some of these problems, just to make sure we're all on the same page, okay? So on page 4, I'm going to start with number 1, okay? I'm going to take negative 4x and multiply it by this quantity, by this thing in parentheses. So I've got 10 plus 3x here. That means I'm going to take negative 4x and multiply it by 10, and I'm going to take negative 4x and multiply it by 3x. Okay, you guys have probably heard this called distribution before. That's a term we're familiar with, so that's what I'm doing here. So this would give me negative 40x minus 12x squared. Notice I'm multiplying the numbers and I'm multiplying the variables. When I multiply variables, that exponent's going to change. Okay. And then at the end of my problem, I want to check to see if there are any like terms that I can combine, just like we did when we were adding and subtracting. So here I've got an x term and an x squared term. Those are not like terms, so I can't combine them. So I'm going to leave this as is. The only other thing you could do here would be to rearrange it to put it in standard form with that biggest exponent first. Okay, that's the only thing that we could do is rearrange to standard form. Questions on number 1? Okay, number 2, same idea. So this time I've got different variables. I've got x's and y's in here. That's okay, I treat it exactly the same way. So I would have negative 3y times negative 4x. So that would be negative 12xy, or yx if you want. I tend to put the variables in alphabetical order, but you don't have to. And then this would be negative 18x cubed y. And then negative 6y squared. Where I've got different variables here, I want to look to see if I can combine like terms, but there isn't really a standard form we're going to worry about when I've got multiple variables. So no standard form for this one. I just want to check to see, do I have any more xy terms? This is x cubed y, so that's not the same. This is y squared, so these are all different. No like terms to combine there. Number 3, again, similar idea. I've got multiple variables here. I'm just going to distribute. So 2 times 3 would give me 6. X squared times x gives me x cubed. And y squared times y gives me y cubed. Now, when I multiply again, this would be plus 4x squared. I don't have any x's here. And then y squared and y would be y cubed. And then for my final piece of distribution here, this would be plus 10 x squared and x would give me x cubed. And I only have y squared, so y squared. For each of my terms, my variables have different exponents. So I have no like terms to combine here. And again, when we have multiple variables, we're not going to worry about standard form. Questions for me so far? Okay, now let's take a look at number 4. Number 4, we're back down to a single variable. So let's go ahead and distribute. This would be 12n cubed plus 4n squared minus 16n. And now I've got some more distribution here. I'm going to multiply through the negative n. That way I keep that subtraction with it. So minus 3n plus n squared. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. I do have like terms I can combine here. And since I only have one variable, I am going to give my final answer in standard form. So this is my only n cubed term. So I'm going to leave that guy in front. I have 4n squared plus n squared. That'd be plus 5n squared. And then minus 16n minus 3n would give us minus 19n. Questions for me on number 4? Okay. Now let's hop down to a problem where I am distributing more than just one term into parentheses. So let's hop down to number 7. Take a look at number 7. So this time I have a quantity times a quantity, a thing in parentheses times another thing in parentheses. You may have heard this called in middle school maybe double distribution, because we're going to distribute 2 times. We could also, if I wanted to, talk about triple distribution or quadruple distribution, but we're going to do the same thing that we did. So I'm going to ignore this -3 for a second, and I'm going to take this 6a and distribute it over here the same way we distributed our 4n in here for the last problem that we did. So I'm going to distribute through the 6a, so that would be 42a squared minus 24a. And now the 6a has been multiplied by both terms in the other quantity, in the other set of parentheses. Now I'm going to go back and do the same thing with the -3. So now I'm going to distribute through the -3. So that'd be negative 21a plus 12. And now we combine like terms. So I've got 42a squared, that's my only a squared term. Negative 24a and negative 21a would be negative 45a. And plus 12, that's my only constant term. I would like you now to try number 8. Try number 8. Number 8, I'm going to do the same thing that I did on number 7, distribute the same way. So I would start with 10x squared minus 8x minus 10x plus 8. 10x squared is my only x squared term. Since this has the biggest exponent, I'm going to put that term first. Then combine our like terms. So we would get negative 18x plus 8. Any questions on number 8? Okay, now let's take a look at 1 or 2 more together. So if I take a look at number 9, same idea, except for this time my second quantity has 3 terms. I approach this exactly the same way. So I'm going to take my m and distribute it through, then we'll take the 5 and distribute it through. So we've got m times m squared, that would be m cubed, plus 4m squared minus 8m. Now we'll do the 5. Plus 5m squared plus 20m minus 40. And again, we'll combine like terms here. This is my only m cubed. And then I've got 4m squared plus 5m squared. That would be 9m squared. Minus 8m plus 20. That would be 12m. And then negative 40 is my only constant term, so I'll put that at the end. Questions on number 9? The last thing I want to look at is something like number 11. Okay, this is the last one I want to look at together. So we're going to distribute here. This is similar to number 7 and number 8. When I go to distribute, 4d times 4d, we're going to distribute, again, the same way we did for 7 and 8. That would be 16d squared plus 28d minus 28d minus 49. When I go to combine my like terms here, I would have 16d squared. And then my d terms, I've got plus 28d and minus 28d. What happens there with my d terms? They sort of cancel each other out, right? I've got no d's left. Okay, so I don't need to write 0d here. It's not wrong if you do, but you can save yourself a little time and a little pencil by not writing 0d. So we don't, if it cancels, we don't need that term there. Okay. And then actually one more problem I want to take a look at. Number 14, I've got a plus 6u squared. And I believe we've done a couple problems where we've got that square there already, but I want to just give you a reminder that when you see a quantity squared, that means I've got to write it again and distribute. Okay, when I have a quantity squared, I have to write it again and distribute. I cannot square the individual pieces inside the quantity. You have to write it again and distribute. So when I distribute, I would get a squared plus 6au plus 6au plus, this would be 36u squared. Since I've got multiple variables, we're not going to worry about standard form. We'll just leave it in the order it's in. So this would be a squared. Combine my like terms here. 6au plus 6au would be 12au plus 36u squared. Questions for me on multiplying polynomials or distributions? Okay. So for the rest of class today, you have one assignment on Delta Math and one assignment on Khan Academy. You can complete them in any order you'd like, but you do need to complete them by the end of class today. So one assignment on Delta Math, one assignment on Khan Academy. Your homework for tonight is our next set of notes, and your notes will show up on Delta Math, just like they did last week.